Well, hello there. This is Jen. Welcome back to the next episode of Tattoos and Toddlers. And this is a podcast where we get real with each other. We talk about running businesses and parenting and how it all works together. And then you toss in a few fun tattoo stories because let's be honest, we all love hearing about why did you get that tattoo? Where did you get that tattoo? And what does it mean to you? So I really love having real life conversations on this podcast. And so my guest today is Christy. Christy, please introduce yourself briefly. I cannot wait to have you on today.
Yes, hello. I'm Christy Sprowl, and I am the founder and owner of Prestige Event Service. I have a 8-year-old daughter, so she's no longer a toddler, but she was a toddler when I started the company. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
she was 2 to be exact. Oh, you're kind of blurred out, babe. Hey. Yeah, she was 2 when I started the company, so
Oh my
it's
gosh. So
even crazy thinking of that perspective.
I was going
Like,
to
wow.
say now that we're going backwards in time, join us in our time traveling episode where we go back from 8 years old to 2 years old. What in the world got under your skin to start a business with a 2-year-old? I have to know.
Honestly, yeah, I've always had the mentality of like, gosh, I am so tired of working for someone else and so tired of, making money for them, getting to their goals. And what am I doing? I'm just another body that they can easily replace. But for me, I'm like, no, you can't replace me as a person because it's me. You can't find nobody else like me. But honestly, that like I've always wanted to have my own company. So at the time in my life that things were happening, I was like, I just need to do it. Like I just need to go for it, do it. I have a great support system. Like my family, my parents have always been there throughout the whole process, and they're the ones that actually watch her anytime I've had a work event. Like that's where she's going. Her dad has not been here, so having their support has helped me actually grow the company to where it is today. So yeah, my crazy dream turned into something that I will forever always look back on and be like, wow, like I did that. I did it.
Yeah, and we don't give ourselves enough credit, right? Like I feel like,
Yeah.
for those of us, I started my business 12 years easily before I had a kid. So
Hmm.
I was already in the zone of my identity as a business owner and I was having fun doing it. And there was no way I was going to go back to working 9 to 5, right? And
Hmm.
so I integrated her into my life. But you started a business when you had a child. And I feel like it was because of that shift in your mind and your heart. You're like, you know what? If I don't do it now, when am I going to do it? Right? Was it kind of like that
Yeah.
for you? Like, if I don't do it now, I just, why not?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, in life, like there's never a right time to start doing something that you want to do because something is always going to come up. So it's like you just have to, that mindset, that growth mindset to dive in and just do it. Like I didn't even have a name for the company. I just ordered business cards that simply said professional bartender. And that was it. Like I didn't have a name until about like I think it was like 6 or maybe even 9 months after I started. I was like, okay, I need a name. This is going somewhere. I need to keep growing this, and that's what I did. And yeah, it was hard at first, but here we are.
Well, I was gonna say, how even I mean, you've definitely alluded to the fact you had some help. So were you finding yourself, especially in the pre kindergarten years, of balancing
Mm.
parenthood with businesshood and being able to come up with ideas on how to move forward in your business after you started it? I know you said it was hard in the beginning. What was the hardest thing in the beginning starting the business? Um, Obviously a name comes later, but like what was the biggest shift for you in starting your own business, your own baby?
Yeah, I would say that's a good question. I, I would say the shift was like my time was the shift, because I always had another job, another bartending job. So it was not choosing not to work that job and like choosing my business over that other job, and trying to be consistent with that. I will say, at the beginning there, with her dad, there was a lot of emotional and mental abuse happening. And so for me to start this was a voice in me saying I can do something on my own, and I don't care what he has to say. I don't care what he accuses me of or anything like that, wild and crazy. I'm doing this, and I don't care. And that was a shift in me to be like, I'm doing something for myself and for my kid later in the future. So that shift right there in my brain helped me overcome all of that and just keep going. Because at first, like, it was a hobby. At first, I wasn't very business savvy, at all. I didn't have a mentor in the bartending community to be like, hey, how do you do this? Hey, what are these numbers like, and stuff like that. I was just doing events and weddings, house parties, anything that I could get my hands on to grow and learn. And wow, there's a lot of growth and a lot of learning because looking back on even my first event, I'm like, oh gosh, I'm so glad I don't do that anymore. It's just a lot of growth, for sure. I actually didn't get super serious with it until December of 2020, because I always had something, and I was like, you know what, I'm so tired of working for somebody else. So I quit one of my consistent jobs. I went to another one where I could work daytime and have just this one schedule that I could actually focus on my business. And they weren't adhering to my scheduling needs, so I actually quit that August of 21, and I've been going full throttle entrepreneur since.
Wow. Yes,
So
you just being in business for this long, you've
lots of
had
steps.
several changes. Yeah, you've had several changes and shifts in your in how you're growing your business and yourself at the same time. That's awesome. I just when you were
the
face
changes
palming was when you were face palming your previous work in the first businesses. I was thinking about what it was like to look back at my photography from that long ago, right? Like, it's the same, like, oh God, what was I thinking?
Yeah,
But,
no,
I don't know about you, but
really,
I'm the
I
kind
will
of
be honest,
person.
my first event. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I'm the kind of person that learns as I
Mm-hmm.
go. Like, a class can only teach you so much. It's real world life experience that teaches
Yeah,
you the quickest. So yeah, go ahead and finish with your thought.
for sure. Oh, yeah, no. I was just gonna say, like, it's funny, like, the first event, I wasn't even using like an ice bin for ice. I was literally, I no shame, I don't care, I will tell it. I was using one of those metal pans that you put a turkey in on Thanksgiving. Because I didn't know. I was like, what do I use for ice? I don't know what to use for ice.
Oh
And
my gosh.
yep.
That is so
But see
funny.
that growth, that growth there, I'm no longer metal pans for ice.
Well, I was gonna say, and you're going from like your previous places of employment were they pretty like, or like at a restaurant, were they stable, or were you also a mobile bartender at these other places too? Like, were you pulling from different kinds of experiences?
Okay, so I will say that my bartending experience started at Choctaw Casino, but I didn't start my company then. I started it when I was working at a bowling alley in Plano. It's Plano Super Bowl. We catered to leagues, and I only worked there, 3 nights a week, and it was good money coming from a bowling alley. It was very, very good. You've seen the same people every week, and that's where I started it. We used to have, I say we, I don't work there anymore. They used to have karaoke on Friday nights. And the DJ there, like I've been knowing that he does like weddings and like parties and stuff. And I asked him one Friday night, and I'm like, hey, like how could I get into weddings and events? And you know, and he's like, oh, well, you just work off your TABC. And I was like, what? Like, what do you mean? It can't be that easy. He's like, yeah, no, I've known bartenders just working their TABC, and they're just showing up to events. And I'm like, hmm. Okay. So literally that night I went home and researched on like how to, work at an event with just your TABC. And then I found out, oh, you need insurance and all these other things. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, and then I think that next night that I worked, whenever I got some money, I went ahead and put in an order for my business cards. And and then I put in an order for a mobile bar and like other bartending tools and things like
Yeah.
that. And then as they were coming in, I was getting so excited because I'm like, wow, like I'm investing in myself and in this company.
Mhm.
Granted, I was 23 years old at the time and doing this. I'm proud of myself. I really am. And I don't say that enough to
Yeah.
say that I am proud of myself for even just starting.
Yeah. Cause there's so many other people that they'll say in that vein of not starting, I'm too old. I'm too young. My time has passed. There's no reason for me to do it now because there's 50 other people doing it. And I think you should give yourself credit for starting, and you're still going. So it's like we should all give ourselves credit in some form or fashion that we started something that wasn't there before, and that we're
Yeah.
running it. We're running it. We're passionate about it. Like if we weren't passionate about it, we wouldn't still be doing it. Let's be honest.
Yeah, no, really. Passion is a strong thing that can definitely keep you going, and got to listen to that even on those days that are like, oh man, I don't feel like doing nothing. I don't even feel like talking to anybody, Like
Yeah.
I definitely get in those moods, as like a depressive state. I'm not depressed, but like, we all get in those kind of like depressive states
Yeah.
and like you
There's
get
there's
overstimulated with things and
there's a lot of
whew,
voices that tire us out, and when we get tired, that's the time where things like to creep in and hurt us, hurt our confidence, and hurt our just why are you doing what you're doing, and what's the point? Like a month and a half ago I had like a what's the point moment. I was like, what is the point? But then the
yeah,
great thing is I like asking that question. Like it's a good to recognize when you're at a low point, to then sit there with yourself and say, you know what? This is why you're doing what you're doing. And these are the 5 reasons why you need to keep going. And sometimes you
right.
have to have a pep talk to yourself. And I think about this. Okay, this is another great question. Like, what are we showing our kids, right? What are you
Yeah,
showing your daughter doing this? It's a completely, like, I didn't grow up with a mom or a dad doing what we're doing, right?
me either. Yeah,
And so, and I'm an artist at heart, and so I've always been creative. And my daughter has that creativity, and I don't ever want to stifle it, right? Like we want to encourage that, because that creativity leads to so many brilliant ideas. And this next generation, and your daughter
yeah.
too, this next generation, what are their ideas going to be? So do you ever think about that as a parent? Like, what is your daughter interested in? What's her brilliant moment going to be? Do you find her like doing things that are a piece of you or a piece of her dad? Are there's elements of you inside of her? Are there some things that you could highlight for us real quick as we talk about the next generation?
Honestly, it's funny that you do bring that up because she had a light bulb moment earlier this year, and she's like, "Mom, you're a boss. Like this is your company." And I was like, "Yeah, like
That's so
I own
cute.
it. Like it's mine." And she was like, wow. And I think she was on the phone with her friend. She's like, hey, my mom's a boss. And I was just like, yeah, that's right, I am. But it's so cute. She honestly wants to help me. Like she's like, I wanna do kid parties. And I know,
Aw.
like, I have a video on Instagram that's showing her mixing up a drink because we do a lot of mocktails.
Yeah.
And I have a little mixologist in training right now because she wants to do that. And even her seeing me do this is like makes me proud to say that, wow, she wants to do it with me. And she has definitely some musical artists in her. She loves singing and dancing and making music. I have an iPad, and then that has a whole like DJ thing, and you can make your own songs.
Aw.
And man, she is good. I'm like, girl, you can be a DJ when you grow up. Like, I'm encouraging her to do these different things that I've seen in the event industry, because growing up, I didn't know anything that there was different events going on and even DJs for weddings and things like that. I didn't grow up around that. I didn't even grow up attending weddings,
Yeah, as a
like
bride, when I got
at all.
married, I didn't even know you could do photography as a living. I had no idea. And that was only 18 years ago. And that in retrospect, it's really not that long ago, but a lot has changed in 18 years. The digital world has shifted into hyperdrive
Yeah.
over the last 18 years for me, because my first camera was like a little 5
Yes.
megapixel with a little tiny flip screen. It was so cute. But I obviously didn't know I could start a
Oh,
business. I had no idea I could start a business. So and then fast forward to now, I'm looking forward to seeing what Miracle is genuinely going to be interested in as she grows up too. Being so creative, but also like
yeah.
the things that they can watch and pull in information that I can't conceive. I like hearing her ideas. She's got great ideas. I mean, she's got some fun ideas. She makes great art, and she can look at a YouTube video and follow the instructions and make her own art. And then some days she'll just look at the instructions, throw that out the window and make her own stuff. And I was like, that's brilliant. And I love that about her. And I always hope that she goes back to that, because as a
Wow.
creative, I think it's great to learn the techniques and learn the things. But I also think breaking the rules is 100% how I've learned and grown throughout my life too. So as we're starting to shift our conversation,
Yeah.
I really love that you've shared a little piece of your life with us today. So I also want to kind of get into one of your tattoo stories, because I feel like your tattoos say a lot about some of your
Yes.
life, about your loves. I would love for you to like share with us one of your tattoos, and the story behind it and what made you go out and get it, and did it hurt? How long did it take? All that stuff.
Yeah. Okay, so I actually am gonna start with the tattoo that started my
Yes.
whole sleeve, and it's
Yes.
me breastfeeding, like literally me
Yes.
breastfeeding my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And I breastfed her for a good 10 months. I wish I could have gone longer, but it's okay. I didn't want some random woman on my arm. So I told my guy, I was like, hey, like, let's put me on there. Like,
Yeah.
not to be like conceited or anything, but I didn't want just a random face on my arm breastfeeding. Like, that's just weird to me. So, so I'm like, yeah, let's just put me on there. So he did. And at the time, I had bangs going across.
Yep.
He even put my, like a nose ring in there. I had a lip ring at the time. I'm
Aw,
wearing hoop earrings. Like
that's
he
so
literally
cute.
put me on there. And that's what really started like my whole sleeve. And I always want to remember my breastfeeding journey. And if I have any other kids in my life, definitely want to breastfeed them. And I do have one more that I wanted to highlight. I actually got her eyes and
Wow.
her name, and then the time she was born. Like it's
Oh
a
my
whole,
gosh. You are the second person that has shown me the clock when their child was born. And
yeah.
that is literally the coolest idea. Like my other friend has the heartbeat, the original heartbeat of
Oh,
his
that's
kid.
cool.
And I'm like, that is the most precious thing. And so anything that's super, super specific to you and your story, that is amazing. Because I know that so many of us that go out and get tattoos, sometimes we just pick it off the wall. My first one was definitely a pick it off the wall, but it was because I was inspired by it, but it doesn't necessarily tell a story, but it was inspired by it. Yours is a
Yeah.
very dramatic, this is my story. Your very first tattoo, right? Your very first tattoo was that, right?
No.
Oh, wait. What was your very first tattoo?
It was on my side, and I'm not showing that right
No,
now,
we're
but I
not
was
showing
eight.
that.
I was 18, and I thought it would be great to get a quote, and I always forget what it says.
I was trying to say, is it a regret? The look on your face when I asked about your first tattoo, because I thought you had said that this was your first. I was like, the look on your
Well, it was
face
the first one
about.
that started my arm.
Okay.
It was the first one that started my arm. But I will say the ones on my arms all have a story and they all mean
I
something.
was gonna say they're the most visible, and I was just having this conversation about this is my first visible tattoo, right? So I put it visible because it is a huge part of my story. And I
Mm-hmm.
never would have walked into the tattoo parlor saying, "Hey, give me a sleeve." I actually walked in and I was like, "Can we make it about 3 inches off to the side?" And he's like, "No, it won't be detailed enough. I'm not satisfied with that answer." So I come back to him and I was like, what do you think about like 4 or 5 inches? He's like, "Yeah, sure." He comes back with like a 7-inch, ink spread. And I watched him lay it on my arm and I was like, you know what? Here's 2 things I want you to do, dude. Don't cover my mole. That's my childhood mole. And don't cover my veins on my arm because I really love my wrist veins. I'm a weirdo. I admit that. But I was like, please do not cover my wrist veins. So guess
Yeah.
what? It's like 7 inches between my wrist veins and my mole.
So it's like it fit perfect now, right? It fit
It
perfect in
fit
there.
perfectly in between everything, and I couldn't be happier with it. It's super fun to talk about now. And then, and I love that your visible tattoos, they do make a statement, and I love that you're not ashamed of them. You're showing them no matter what, right? So you're not scared of telling your story if somebody walks up and say, "Hey,
Yeah.
be on my podcast and share your story." So
Yeah.
well, it has been super fun to have you today. Is there anything else we want to leave our listeners with today as we're thinking about starting our businesses, running our businesses, and having kids in our lives, no matter what age, honestly, but especially for those that had young kids or they have young kids right now and they're really feeling the survival mode? What would we leave them with
Mhm.
today if you were talking to you at, when you had a 2 or 3-year-old as a toddler kind of situation? What would you say to you?
Baby steps matter.
Mm,
It's those baby steps that definitely help you in the long run to take those big steps and those big leaps. So baby steps will always matter. It doesn't matter where you are, it doesn't matter how old you are. If you're still living and breathing, it's not too late. So just do it. Like you can't wait for the right moment because there will never be the right moment ever. You just have to do it. Just get in there and do it. And that's all I have to say on that.
no, I think that is the perfect ending to this talk today because we overlook the fact of how powerful baby steps are.
Oh yeah.
And if we look at our
Yeah.
children, I know this is very cliche, but it's also very relevant to the process of life. They didn't know how to crawl until they learned how to crawl. They didn't know
Yeah.
how to walk until they learned how to walk. But they took their baby steps because they're babies. That's all they know how to do. So, well, let's just be like babies for a minute and realize that
Yeah.
baby steps are cool. Baby steps are okay. It's okay to lean on the furniture when you're learning how to walk. Literally, this is life lessons watching little
Yeah.
babies and children. So I
Yeah, I
want to,
agree.
I want to leave y'all with, let's watch this next generation. This next generation's got amazing ideas. This next
Oh yeah.
generation is super creative. This next generation may need to learn how to go a little deeper with, emotions and connections and stuff, but we're all capable of growing into our connections and our voice, and our voices matter. So I'm just going to leave it like that. And this has been such a fun episode, Christy. Oh my God.
Yes.
We'll have
Thank
to
you
talk
for
again.
having me. I really appreciate
We'll have to
it.
talk again, because I'm sure we have some more tattoo stories that we can
Yes.
dish on, and we'll have some more parenting moments. So at any point that we want to have you back again, we will have you back. So, and I just want to thank everybody for listening today, and be sure to share with your friends. Be sure to let everybody know that Tattoos and Toddlers is out here to stay, and we will see you out there on Spotify. I am now on iHeartMusic, and I am now on Amazon. It's also kind of cool that it kind of like mirrors everything as I post episodes. So I will see you on the next episode, friends. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.